Today on the Tom Kelly Show podcast, we are interviewing my friend Kerry Schwartz, who wrote the book A Series of Unfortunate Men. Her book is full of blind item, juicy celebrity gossip. She also talks about dating a mobster, and actually a couple of mobsters, and her high school gym teacher. And she also talks about the moment where she realizes she deserves better. Hell of a show coming up. Let's start it now.
Buddy, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Here we go. Trigger warning, spoiler alert. I hope I'm not one of those unfortunate men. You are experiencing the Tom Kelly Show. Real life dating edition. This is the Tom Kelly Show. If you're new to the podcast, this is the podcast where one comedian, me, Tom Kelly, owns the midlife crisis. I am known for my work at The View, Good Morning America, America's Got Talent, which may come up later, and a million billion other TV shows. And I'm a man in transition looking for what's next. This is a podcast that seeks life advice while I give out unsolicited opinions. And for both of those things, our guest is perfect for that. Kerry Schwartz. Kerry Schwartz has worked in television. I've worked with her at least one, if not two other shows over the years. She was always the beautiful woman everybody wanted to date on the set. I bonded with her because she is from the same neighborhood in Brooklyn I'm from.
That's right. Forgot about that.
And that suddenly made me think I had a shot. And you know, and
I love the raw authenticity.
Why not? Let's own the awkwardness. And we've bonded a couple of times, and I wonder if she even remembers. If she can't remember the Brooklyn thing, she's not going to remember four other details about our lives that may have overlapped or not. I know a few of your blind item men.
Oh, that I definitely remember.
You remembered that? Okay, good.
We had like conversations about this. Yeah.
Yes. We also had conversations about Brooklyn, which you forgot. So anyway, Kerry Schwartz, Kerry, who's also
my hippocampus needs work. I'm sorry.
No, and it's okay. But Kerry, you're also like going viral on the TikTok with your dating stories again.
Yeah.
You wrote the book. It's a series of unfortunate men.
That's right.
I read it a year ago. I had you booked for the show, and then I'm going to be blunt. I had trouble reading the book for two reasons. One, it was very compelling and honest, and I just didn't know how to handle the very human parts of your story. As a friend, as an interviewer, like you at the beginning, you know, and maybe I imagined it because I remember the streets of Midwood and Marine Park where you were talking about growing up. And then you get to celebrity stuff where, geez, I know one or two of the celebrities you dated in the book.
Right.
And
right.
I was kind of weirded out that you wrote about it because I'm like, geez, I don't want to be awkward podcaster in the next book, you know?
But I don't name names in my book. Everyone is an alias. So although I am telling my story because we all have the right to tell our stories, and just because somebody doesn't agree with it doesn't mean you should change the narrative.
Okay.
So for me, I thought these were all very important pieces of my story and how I would be able to help others, whether they were celebrities or not, because just because you're a celebrity doesn't mean that you can't affect a human's life in a negative or positive way. So I did respect everyone, non-celebrities and celebrities. Everyone has an alias name except for there's a few exceptions, like Terrell Owens, T.O., he gave me permission, like Lil Bow Wow. And then I think there's one of my other exes from Canada who gave me full permission to use their names. But otherwise, everybody else in there are full alias names.
Right. And I'm going to take this moment right now. If I have any exes, women I've dated, or cheap hookups listening to the podcast, please use an alias whenever talking about me.
Oh, yeah. I think that's very important, not only for like legal purposes so you don't get sued, but also because we're all on our own journey. We've all done that we regret. We are all becoming better people, hopefully, every single day. So I don't want to judge anyone on their past. I'm talking a lot about my past.
Well,
people,
and let's hit that because the journey was tough. You start by talking about being a very young teenage girl, like 14-ish, I want to say, even younger than that, right? And dating a mobster.
Oh yeah. Okay. So, well, the book goes all the way back to my childhood, and then The mobster, I was not 14, but I was in my very early, I think I was about 20 years old. I was dating like a 40-year-old mobster from Staten Island. And these are not necessarily relatable experiences. But this was a time in my life where I was homeless and I was using a man for his money and stability, and something that I learned from and I thought was important to share. And that's the gist of the mobster, but also he was a very scary man. So that chapter has a lot of lessons in it, but also a lot of scary, entertaining moments as well. It's like edutainment.
No, and here's part of why I had trouble why I canceled the booking a year ago is you talk about your relationship with your dad. You talk about your relationship with dangerous men. And then there are silly and salacious details also in it. And I couldn't figure out, as a friend, as a person who plans on seeing you again at different points, I didn't know how to handle the conversation. Even right now, a year later, I'm suddenly realizing your TikTok made me say, yeah, we could do it now. And I'm realizing I don't know what the right questions are to ask. Let's start with this. If you're meeting somebody on the street and without me, and hi, there's Kerry. She wrote a dating book. What do you tell people about the book?
I wouldn't describe it as a dating book. I would describe it as, because it is a memoir, by the way. So this is not a book bashing men or just talking about silly and scary dating stories. It's about my life and the things that I have survived and the men that I have survived, but also the very, very, very important message of the entire book is I may have dated all of these toxic psychopaths and narcissists and crazy people, but I played victim for so long. Like I was the woman that was like, why me? Why me? Why do I keep attracting all of these toxic men into my life? But like in all reality, one day you realize you are allowing and accepting them. So it's really about me. Yes, I'm not going to take away what these men did to me, but it also had a lot to do with me and accepting it. So I would say that is the valuable lesson and the takeaway from the entire book is self-worth and self-value and self-love, as cheesy as that sounds. And unfortunately for me, I had to go through a series of unfortunate men to realize that, but I am taking accountability for my actions and what I did wrong. I am not playing victim.
Well, because I guess it starts with what your dad was sort of semi-absentee and and
daddy issues. Yes.
And your mom was, and you had mommy issues because mom was not always there. Tell me about your parents. Let's start with that quick. Tell me about your relationship with your parents and how that affects your dating.
I think it affects everyone's dating life, and it's something that people are talking more about now and is becoming more common. But if you start the foundation in a household that is like messy and toxic, or that is like World War III, which is what I described it, that is
World War III, and then they got divorced, and dad was off the radar.
Oh yeah, dad started a new life with a new family, and he had his reasons for doing that, but he was absent for most of my life and created a bond with a new family that I never had with my dad. So what happens there? Abandonment issues, insecurity issues, all the issues that reside in you in your dating life in the future that stay there. So however your dad makes you feel or your mom, however your parents make you feel as a child is how you're going to expect to be treated in your future with your partners, because it's all you know. That is literally all you know. Okay. So that's what I expected. I'm like, bad behavior, normal.
So who's the first unfortunate man featured in the story? You were dating a man who kidnapped you, if I recall, right?
Oh my God. Yes.
Does he know he's in the book before I actually interview you?
Oh, yes. All of them know they're in the book. I mean, because here's the thing. If they know about it and they're reading a chapter, they're going to know exactly what's going on. They're going to know it's about them, even though I'm not using real names. So, yes.
Okay. So maybe I don't want to ask too many questions about this chapter of the book, but you dated somebody who was dangerous, hurt
Yes.
other people for a living,
Yes.
and you're on the other side of the country now telling that story. Were there emotional repercussions from telling that story, even though it's blind itemed?
Okay, so I have a question. There were multiple men that were dangerous in my book.
Let me
Are you
smushing them all together. In fact, let me smush them all together, so that way I don't have one man threatening my life. You've talked
no?
about people. No, but even better, you talked about a couple of different threatening guys.
Yes.
Did any of them say, "What the F are you doing telling my story"? Actually, did anybody in the book say, "What the F are you doing telling our story"?
Yes, I actually decided to get a therapist right before I released this book because I knew that because I was advertising it on social media that people would read it, whether it be the exes, their family. So yes, I heard from multiple men from my book. Some of them were surprisingly proud of me in a way. Others were like, this is not right. This is a past version of myself. This didn't happen. I wasn't charged with kidnapping. I wasn't this, I was that. And I was like, well,
Yeah, and
you
one of the
know,
people in the book kidnapped you.
yeah. So he was charged with kidnapping. He was my first relationship. It was a 5-year relationship. I was 17 years old when we first started going out. He was like the guy I always had a crush on. And he was one of these really overprotective and jealous boyfriends, the kind where it like starts off really cute, where they're like, oh, don't go out in those booty shorts because you're showing too much booty, or oh, I don't want you to wear that because you look really cute. It's flattering in the beginning, but then all of a sudden he was stalking me. So when I was at work, I was working at a few different gyms at the time. I would see him watching me outside in his car. Other times he would show up at my friend's house and literally drag me out of the house because, I didn't tell him I was going to my friend's house. But then the ultimate event of that chapter was when he kidnapped me, is when he literally pulled up in a white van with two of his friends. And I was working at a gym at the time. And he pulled up, beat the shit out of the two guys that I was standing with, sent them to the hospital, threw me in the back of the van. At this point, I thought he was probably going to kill me. And then drove off, and somehow I wound up back. Sorry, sometimes I get a little sometimes I get a little choked up. But then he dropped me off at my house eventually, but I was in that van with him for quite some time. And it was a very, very scary experience. But every time, these events, I would say every time he tried to find me or get in touch with me, it was like I had to get an order of protection eventually just so that he would stop. So he was arrested. He was charged with kidnapping. When you think of kidnapping, you think, someone is like holding you hostage in their home.
Right.
And, it was more of a van situation. And he did release me. I wasn't being held hostage. But when he was arrested, he was charged with kidnapping.
So, and without even going all the way into that story, you got to read the book, people.
You got to read the book.
You got to read the book. You have this awful, 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 awful experience with a person. Now, as a guy, and owning who I am, the nerdy guy who has looked at pretty girls who dated a-holes and pretty girls never liked me, I always say, geez, that's the moment where if a friend has an awful experience like that, they'll only date nice, perfect people afterwards. Is that what happened with you?
No, because I feel like it's a form of habit, but it also is from a young age, I was never told what or shown what a good relationship was. And then every time I would get into a relationship, all of these horrible things would unfold. And to be honest, Tom, I thought that I just thought it was normal. I'm like, oh, okay, this is what relationships are. There's always trouble. Overprotectiveness, being jealous, all of these things must be normal because this is what happens every time I'm in a relationship. So it really is all that I knew for a long time. And I can honestly say to this day, I have never experienced a normal relationship, or I don't even really know what that is or what to expect. So it's really fucking hard for me to date now, because if I am dating a good guy, well, what is that? I mean, of course, like this guy is not trying to kidnap me or lie to me or cheat on me and all of like the obvious reasons. But when you are in an environment and you are taught, I mean, these men taught me how I was supposed to be treated, even though I didn't know better. So for all I know, I was in normal relationships my entire life, and I've never experienced a good man or a normal relationship. It's really sad, but I have no idea what that looks like. I have an idea, but
Okay.
yeah.
I mean, wouldn't there be? Okay, let's keep.
And I want to say something real quick. Just because, so I've dated all different kinds, like all different, as far as like physical attributes or like what they do for a living. I have dated all different kinds of men. Every single one of these men in my book are completely different from the other. Age, looks, occupations, whatever you think it is. So it's not even like physical attributes or something is what I was attracted to. Is I was open to giving all different kinds of men a chance, but I still hadn't learned to love myself. So I was just attracting all of the wrong men, no matter what they looked like.
All right. Now, if I were a better interviewer, I would have asked you this at the beginning of the podcast. Who are the celebrities we are allowed to say you dated in the book? Are there actual names in there? I'm trying to remember. I'm going to be, and maybe there aren't anybody. Are there any people you have named who's like, you sure can name me in the book?
Terrell Owens, T.O.
Okay. What was dating him like? Let's start with a happy. What's it like dating T.O.?
T.O. So the first date that he and I went on, we actually matched on a dating app, and at that time,
because I need a Raya reference. Are you on the celebrity dating app Raya? Because I need a damn reference for that.
No, I'm not.
God damn it.
I'm actually not on dating apps anymore. This was a few years ago that we're talking now.
Okay.
This is probably like 4 or 5 years ago.
So you and T.O. match on Bumble. What app is T.O. on?
I'm pretty sure it was Bumble, actually.
Really? Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure it was Bumble. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I know, listen, without getting into all the names, I have a guess on who at least 3 or 4 of the names are that you've dated.
Yeah.
Are they on Bumble and Grindr and Match or whatever it is? What are they?
No. T.O. is the only celebrity that I have met on a dating app. All the other celebrities that I met was when I was working in TV and film, and I was making these relationships in person when I was working on set. Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like you dated Justin Bieber and you found him on, Tinder.
On like Hinge or Tinder, right? Yeah, this was yeah, actually I'm really thinking about it. He was the only one that I met on a dating app. Everyone else was through work and a project that I was working on.
Okay. So you have some silly stories and you have some scary ones, and then you have some ones that I'm like, really? You told them? Tell my audience, the food TV host audience story or the story. As I know the stroke right here on the podcast.
So it's one of those, it's a disaster date story. And I feel like this is probably like also around the same time I dated T.O. 4 or 5 years ago. And when I think about this story now, I kind of feel bad because this person might really have some mental health kind of issues. And so now when I tell the story, I try not to laugh about it or shame this person for it, but he still needs to know better and learn. But I went on a date with him several times before this. This wasn't our first date. We hit it off immediately, and we had gone out a few times. And this one night we went out for dinner, and, I decided this was going to be the night where I was going to take things to the next level with him, right? Because I felt comfortable enough with him and I trusted him at this point.
Next level, we mean putting out. We are putting out.
We mean like we're going to go have sex after dinner.
Gotcha.
So so we get back to his place, and I'm kind of in the bedroom getting ready to do the thing, and it's a really nice vibe going on. And then he gets up and goes somewhere. I didn't know where he went, but about I'm not even joking, almost a half hour goes by. And I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Is he okay? So I decided to go and look for him. And I saw, as I walked up to the lobby into the kitchen, I saw him kind of like fully naked, binge eating in the kitchen. And this was concerning because it wasn't like someone just opening up the fridge and like getting something to eat, because we all do that. I eat cheese out of my refrigerator at 2 a.m. sometimes. It happens. But he was like binge eating naked, and it was a little frightening. So then I said, you know what? I don't want to embarrass him. This is concerning. I'm going to go back into the bedroom and just wait till he's finished. Comes back into the bedroom, fully naked. He's got some food on his beard. I'm already turned off at this point because of what I had just witnessed. And, he starts kissing me, and, he's trying to get into it, and I'm just not having it at this point. But as we're kissing on the bed, both fully naked, he just starts ripping these massive parts, like ripping the ones that are like fighting to get through the butt cheeks, and they make the worst noises. That started to happen. So then he gets up, goes to the bathroom, and I'm hearing him do all the business in the bathroom. And he comes back out and begins to try to kiss me again. And at this point, I was like, you know what? I'm really tired. I'd rather just like call it a night and go to sleep. You're obviously not feeling well. And then that's when I started to fall asleep, and I woke up to him like hysterical crying. And it was like, he was crying like his mother died. And then I'm not going to give away the rest of the story after this, but I will say this is one of the worst dates that I had ever been on, but also like one of the most disappointing, because I really liked him and he's a really good guy. I will say that. Really great guy.
Let's keep, you wake up, you have sex. Did you have sex or no? Was there any? No, you didn't.
I couldn't do it. I was so turned off.
So you wait.
I really wanted to.
So he has you naked and you're gorgeous, and he says, "I want to binge eat first." Then he binge.
That's exactly what it is. That's part of it. Like, I feel bad talking about it. I'm like, something is very wrong with this person. He obviously has like some kind of.
And he comes back from the kitchen. He sees you there. You're naked. You're still ready to put out, and he goes to bed instead.
He comes back and he is attempting to still sleep with me, but he is just releasing a massive amount of gas while he is kissing me. And there was like no shame there.
Well, I mean, hang on for a second. Let's keep this fun, because this is a fan favorite here for a minute. Ignoring the fact that you saw him binge eating, which is sad, and ignoring the fact that he cries at the end of the story, which is sad. In the middle, there's a man you find attractive.
Yeah.
And he's farting. What do you say?
I still couldn't say anything. The people pleaser inside of me felt so bad that
listen, and I think this moment might be the happy thing that we could put to all your bad relationships is, if you're in bed with someone, they're naked, you like them, and they're farting, you can't say stop farting. And I'd say that, and I think you could apply that to every other bad thing a man has done to you.
I don't disagree.
But it's a fun way for me to tell you the story is, hey man, I don't like it when you fart.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree at all. And you know what? I think
that's also a happy way to say is, hey man, don't put me in the back of your white van. I mean, like, maybe
speak up for yourself. Maybe.
Right.
Exactly. But that was another thing, is like, even 5 years ago when I was with this guy and he was belching and farting in bed, I still did not know my fucking worth. I didn't know my worth. I was just like, well, this is what I get, because clearly this is the only type of things that I experience, right? You tell yourself for so long, I only attract bad things or toxic men or like weird things, and that's just what you're gonna get. And that's it. So I didn't know what I deserved. Now, this version of myself, I would be like, first of all, are you okay? Second of all, do you think it's okay to act this way around me?
Okay.
Like, we're not married yet. I understand married couples. So one of the comments that I got the most on that video was like, oh, sounds like my husband. Oh, welcome to marriage. Welcome to married life. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not married. This is my fifth or sixth date with this person. I'm still getting to know him. I would like to be treated like a lady and not have you belching and farting around me when you're trying to make love to me.
Yeah, now, and you're not being courted. You are worth more, whether the person's famous or not famous. When you're being courted, and I'm going to argue, whenever you're naked with somebody, you know, man, woman, or child, even if you're in the locker room at the gym, when you're naked with someone, you deserve the person who's also naked with you to not be farting.
I agree. I agree. Be on your best behavior when you're naked in bed with each other.
I get that.
Not best behavior, you know, just.
So this is a moment where you're feeling your worth. Now that you're with the famous farter, which I think is a great code name for the man now, the famous farter. It has alliteration. Did you ever go on another date with the famous farter, or you cut things off?
So I decided to, I mean, honestly, after that night, I was so turned off. I just said, okay, this person is not romantically for me, but I still respect him as a friend and I would still like him in my life. But we went to dinner once or twice after that. And I actually don't say this in the book, but we did go for dinner once or twice after that because I had some hope that maybe he had changed or would change, but there was nothing there when I went out for dinner with him. I was like, nope, this is still only friendship. I'm not feeling anything else at this point. So
even
I
as a
didn't
friend,
even
did you ever
try
say,
it.
hey, why were you crying that night, or anything like that?
No, no. And that's bad on me because I feel like now communication is so vital and important to me. And like this version of me, I always say what's on my mind and I always ask questions to better understand people. And that's one thing that I regret is just not communicating that with him and having an open conversation with him about it.
Okay, so there's something I like you as a person. We are
Thank
friends.
you.
Okay,
Same.
I don't think the book, as written, made me like you. There was something missing. There was something missing that I get from you with my friendship, you know, and hanging out with you, the fun, maybe it's a sparkle in your eyes or the silliness when you're telling the story. Are we supposed to like you through the book? Are
I
we
think
on your side?
I think we are. I think one of the most liberating things about this book and one of the bravest things about this book is that when you met me, you met a version of me, right? Or when people meet us in person, you're meeting a version of that person that they want to show to the world, right? So many people have, I don't want to say like a Jekyll and Hyde, but there's a version of themselves that they are fucking terrified of showing the world. And for me, I was like, you know what? I wish I had somebody when I was going through all this shit that I was so ashamed of doing. I wish I had somebody that I can talk to about this stuff or relate to. So my voice is kind of like a voice for the voiceless, for people that are ashamed from things that they have done in their past and are too scared to talk about now and heal from. So I think people are reading, if you know me, you're reading all of these different versions of me that you didn't know or that you never thought possible because you already have your expectations of who I am as a person and what I'm capable of. But the truth is, like, we don't really know everyone. We only see the surface of them and what they choose to show us. And
Okay.
I showed everything.
Yeah, and maybe that's it, because I kind of liked you and knew you up here. It was weird to read stories about you down here, here, and here when you
and
were.
now you're like, oh, I didn't know this woman was capable of all these things in her past. Like, I didn't know she was capable of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and being honest too, that, oh my God, the things you had to go through, the abandonment with your father really struck me, because that's just a very New York, Brooklyn 70s and 80s thing to do. The way he managed his relationship with you, which is, all right, old wife doesn't like me, I'm getting the hell out. She could have that kid, I'll go start something new. That just happened. And I don't think anybody in that generation paid attention to what happened to the family they left behind. You know,
Oh no. Yeah. Not at all.
but I want to be okay. I want to get one happy story before I ask you the last of the real questions on the book.
Okay.
What is your favorite story in the book, or your favorite happy dating story that you like to tell people? Is there one?
I have two stories. One that is really funny and ironic. And then I have the last chapter, which is about my Canada guy who I experienced, who was a really great guy, but then that didn't end well either. So I will go with the ironic and silly story, which is also another fan fave, which is Mr. J.
Now, is it Dr. J, the basketball player?
No.
No.
No, Mr. J was my high school teacher in Midwood.
Wait, and Jesus Christ, I read this book a year ago and I read it fast. You dated your high school teacher?
Yeah.
And I want to just.
I know how bad this sounds.
No, but I want to pause and acknowledge this moment is I have not done you justice on this interview. Because what I really should have done, if I were doing a good interview with you, I would have gone, well, you dated a Food Network host, a TV host, 3 basketball players, and your high school teacher, and a mobster. That's what I should have done at the beginning. And maybe I'll redo the intro for that.
Yeah, and someone who got sentenced to prison for 6 years for attempted murder. So many.
Yeah. And
yeah, so but yes, a silly ironic story was Mr. J. I won't say his full name, but he was like Were you
dating him while you were in Midwood?
No, let's make that clear.
Very important. Okay, thank you.
I did not date. It was my I did not date my high school teacher while I was in high school. Let me make that clear. We dated years after I left high school. Yes, this is years after, when I was very legal and I was 21. Yeah, I was 21.
Legal, fine, go with it.
Yeah. But he was like the gym teacher that every girl wanted and every guy wanted to be friends with in high school. He's like 6'5", like built like a Greek god. Like,
and how much older was he than you, so we can make this a little less creepy?
I'm gonna say 12 years older, approximately.
Which is the age difference between my mother and father. Keep going.
Okay, cool.
Just because I feel like we made it
does that help you?
No, but I feel like I made it creepier than it was for a second there. And
well, I mean, when I put it the way that I did, automatically it sounds creepy. But yeah, so I was such an ugly duckling for most of my life until I hit like the end of high school. So anyway, when I left, this was at Midwood. A few years later, I was like out in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, and I was like getting wasted and partying with my girlfriends. And then we like pull up to this bar and I'm like, I see this bouncer outside. I'm like, this guy looks so familiar. And then as we get closer, I realize it's Mr. J. And I'm like, oh my God, holy shit, it's Mr. J. Like, I can finally shoot my shot with him. I actually look like a human being now, like an actual woman. So of course, I start flirting with him towards the end of the night. He has no idea who I am because I'm sure he didn't recognize me. I looked like a completely different girl. And then eventually I confessed to him at the end of the night that I was like, hey, like I was one of like, you were my gym teacher in Midwood. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, yeah, I don't remember you. I'm sorry. And I'm like, it's probably better that way. And yeah, he drove me home that night because I, drank too much. And yeah, we went on a date 2 nights later, and then we went on a few more dates after that. And by dates, I meant we were sleeping together for the most part. I was a 21-year-old girl living out her fantasy of being with her high school gym teacher that she fantasized about for years. So and
I think we've just created the existential question that philosophers will ask for years. If a 21-year-old hooks up with her gym teacher, but the gym teacher doesn't remember her when she was a student, did she really hook up with her gym teacher?
Absolutely, because this is totally my fantasy being fulfilled. And actually, I'm sure,
Mr. J, if you're listening, you're off the hook.
Totally off the hook. Yes, we love Mr. J. One of the nicest guys I've ever known, ironically.
Is he still teaching there? I'm almost afraid to ask.
I'm not 100% sure, actually. It's been a very long time. I'm really not sure.
All right. So there's a moment. And again, your book made me hate women for a while. I got to be careful. I mean,
oh no, No.
It really did.
Wait, why? What made you,
Because
was it?
I saw in you every high school girl from Long Island or girl from Long Island I tried to date in my teens, 20s, and 30s. Everyone I gay friended for, everyone I saw in your book, every girl whose problems I listened to. From the mobster, reminded me of a girl I knew in high school named where we were all supposed to feel bad for her because she was dating a guy who was rough. And I'm like, hi, I'm here. You turned me down and you're dating that guy. What the fuck?
But
And
it's not about you.
well, it's not about you. But for real, there's a moment where it is about you. The whole book is about you, not me. And I wasn't there, so I shouldn't take any of this personally. But there's a moment in your life, and I'm getting this from your TikTok, and I guess it's the epilogue that's not in the book, is you somewhere along the line felt like you deserved better. What was that moment, and how is that going for you?
I think it happened subconsciously. It's not something that happens. It's not like I woke up one day and I said, oh, okay, I deserve better. For me, unfortunately, it was through a major mental health crisis where I started to experience something called nocturnal panic attacks all of a sudden, which is basically where this is like the chapter that I called the unconscious subconscious, is when all the trauma that you've been through in your life, or if there was an event that caused a serious amount of fucking trauma and you never dealt with it properly, it comes back to haunt you later. So for me, it was like I kept making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And one day I started experiencing these panic attacks that forced me to get treatment, and that forced me to go to therapy, and forced me to go to hypnotherapy and actually try and talk about the things that had happened to me.
Now, is this in the book or after the book?
This is in the book. My
Okay.
mental health crisis, that is all in the book. It's what I'm most proud of, because I didn't think I was ever going to come back from that, to be honest with you. I had to get professional help. And I didn't think I would ever be the same after that. And I wasn't the same, but in the best way possible, because that forced me to accept a lot of things about myself and to heal a lot of things from myself. And then my book came out of my mental health crisis. I started writing it all down, and then all of a sudden it turned into a book. So my subconscious kind of forced me into this new version of myself. And this was about 2 years ago. And ever since then, I just feel like I am getting better and better every single day. And now I see everything clearly. I'll put it that way. I didn't for a long time, but now I do.
Again, the parts of the book that I felt did not show me the Kerry I love. Like, I feel like there are nice moments in between that weren't in the book that would make good chapters in the book, but would have made me like you more. Is that fair or no?
No, because the chapters, no, but I'm gonna explain to you why. But I understand your perspective, but at the same time, this is like what I was going back to before, is like people are not going to agree with your story, but doesn't mean you have to change the narrative of it, because it is my story, right? So I'm speaking my truth. So the truth is, the almost 300-page book, all of those chapters are about a man that I survived, right? And the lesson that I learned from it. But the good in betweens, I have a whole chapter of good men that I have experienced in my life, but they were friends. One of them did want to date me, but it didn't work out. But I did speak about my good experiences with them. But the truth is, I can't talk about the random accountant that I dated that made me feel good on a date, because it never happened. And I didn't start dating until I moved to LA, which is about 7 years ago. And that's really when I started to like date the celebrities, because of the entertainment business that I was in. And it's like, just why would I involve Harry, that I went on a date with and was just lovely and pleasant? Like, why would I need to include him if I only went on like 1 or 2 dates with him? Like, I talk about
know,
like,
but I feel like they're
relationships.
Because again, I want to phrase things in a way that I like you, and I do think the book is worth reading. I also think there's a even better version of you that I know that's not, I didn't quite walk away with. Is that fair? I'm
Absolutely.
trying to say, yeah, because I want to ask you tough questions without hurting your feelings, if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, I've been 10 different humans in my life.
if
Completely different.
if somebody else said, "Oh, this is just a book of a typical LA girl who's a gold digger and an up climber trying to get famous off of things," what's your response to that?
Then they didn't read my book.
Gotcha. Good. They didn't get the experience.
They didn't read my book. Yeah.
Okay.
Because
And
that's
now,
not what my book is about at all. Yeah.
now you have a huge following on TikTok right
Yeah.
now. What's that coming from? And how is your TikTok version of yourself different? Or yeah, how do you present you? You're a very complicated person. How do you present yourself on TikTok? Or how do you break yourself down into 15-second chunks?
Well, I wouldn't say complicated. I would say multifaceted.
Fine.
But so my TikTok came from my book. So when I self-published my book, I said, okay, how am I going to market this book? So I'm basically telling stories from my book as teasers on my TikTok, which have been doing very well. I sell all my books on TikTok now. TikTok.
How many have we sold? Do we have a number? How many have we sold?
I think it's around, so from last February until now, I sold a little over 6,000. So for a self-published author, they say if you sell more than one, if you're selling a book a day, you're doing fucking amazing, because
Amazing.
Big,
no publicist, and
so technically I'm doing pretty good. So it's nice. But the TikTok has been an interesting journey for me, because I love the authenticity factor on TikTok opposed to Instagram, because I'm not into envy culture. Even if you look at my Instagram, it's not going to be anything that you're envious of. You're going to look at my TikTok or my Instagram and be like, oh, she's talking about some deep shit or some shit that happened to her, or, it's going to be raw and real. So I've been really thankful for the audience that I've generated on TikTok, because it's like women and men from all over the world that are constantly giving me that reassurance of what I did was right with this book, because I'm helping people now. They're telling me I've helped them and I've changed their life. And I'm like, what? I did? And that was the main reason why I wrote the book, was to help others, but I really didn't know the impact that it was going to make. So it's really satisfying to know that I was able to do that with the book. So I'm thankful for TikTok too, for that reason.
And now here we are. Big ending to the interview.
Yeah.
You've in therapy, you deserve more. Your book and TikTok are helping people. What does the next chapter of Kerry's life look like?
I think I want to continue this journey of helping people. I think that's always been my purpose. I've always enjoyed helping people, no matter where I was in life or what I was doing. And so right now, we just finished the TV pilot for Series of Unfortunate Men.
What? Wait, whoa! Congratulations.
Thank you. So I haven't really talked about that much or like put it online, but yeah.
Playing you? Who's playing you? Are you allowed to tell us? There's someone playing you.
We have an idea. I'll put it that way. We have a good idea. Yeah.
Okay, so it's written. So you've written a script.
It's done. Yeah, it's done. But knocking on wood, we're doing good with the process. I'll put it that way. And we have interest from some great cast. So it's cool. It's very it's like Sex and the City meets Shameless Euphoria. It's like a very edgy, sexy, kind of toxic version of Sex and the City. So
toxic Sex and the City. I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Where we incorporate stories from my book and characters. It's not based entirely on my book. It's inspired by the events and the people from my book. So her name will be Kerry. We're keeping that the same, but I'm excited about that. And then
you have Brad Pitt to play me.
Yes. Obviously. Yeah, we're gonna have some really interesting characters. We're gonna have we're also gonna be doing a lot of just exposing a lot of things with like men's mental health. We're gonna be talking about as well, and how men are always scared to talk about their feelings and be vulnerable and all that. So there's a lot of great messages behind the mess. I'll put it that way.
And so that's the pilot. What does Kerry's life look like?
My life
going forward, and it could be happy, it could be an I don't know, but I feel like brink of a new chapter.
I feel like I'm kind of just going with the flow. I know what makes me happy at this point in my life, and really it's the simple things. So I'm just going with it. I'm enjoying the process with my book. I really am. I'm enjoying the people that I'm meeting from it, the people that I'm talking to, the growth that I've gotten from it. And yeah, I'm really just enjoying the process. Not a planner. Yeah.
I love it, my friend. All right, folks, a series of unfortunate men. What is the TikTok again? It's Comfy with Kerry?
Comfy with Kerry.
Has been your sitcom / TV show waiting to happen for 10 years that I've known you.
It's been my brand for so long. Yeah.
So get comfy with her on TikTok and Instagram, and the book, A Series of Unfortunate Men. All of those links will be in the show notes. And listen, that's the show, guys. Go buy Kerry's book. New shows here every Monday and Wednesday. Winner of You Ain't Nothing But a Bee with a Wig On, that book. Can we do a giveaway with your book?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so listen, I'm going to have some sort of a promo Instagram reel. All you have to do is comment, folks, with the word unfortunate. And one of the people who comment with the word unfortunate will win a copy of Kerry's book, even if I have to mail the damn thing myself. Oh, I need graphics of that. Don't forget to send me that. But the winner of the last book contest we did, who won Shauna Christmas's book, that's Braden in Orlando. Congratulations, you won. And that's it, folks. Until next time, good night, LA.